Hello. I'm going to share with you about Tiny Glade and whether or not your computer can basically run Tiny Glade. So I have Dell Workstation T1700, which I have seen this particular graphics card, which is HD 4600, and low settings could play things like the GTA 5, low settings, it's i7, Intel i7 4790. So at any rate, what Tiny Glade does not tell you when you scroll down to the actual game itself, there's a lot of people complaining about the graphics. Here are their system requirements. 4 gigabytes of RAM. I have 16 gigabytes. Windows 10 or higher, which I have Windows 10 Pro. Okay, I have graphics 1080p. In specifics, they do not have any requirement for VRAM. I believe the VRAM may be the issue. I think that Steam needs to have a requirement for games to say in system requirements what the VRAM is, because a lot of people look at this and they're like checking things off, right? But then what you see in the community is a lot of people complaining about the graphics. Specifically, you're getting the Vulkan. So I had a separate graphic card in my older computer, which I had a standalone disk. I had a separate graphic card, and I can run other games. I was able to download Critter Cove, which has great graphics, and played that. Sims, played that, no problems. So I think that they need to be very specific, because people are downloading and then finding out that it's not working with their graphics card. So it says I've got 4 gigabytes of RAM. I think the VRAM is 1.8. Mine is for HD 4600. I have about 2 gigabytes. And it says that the required minimum, but see, this is where I don't see a required minimum. He's saying the required minimum is 2 gigabytes, and I don't see that in their specs right here. Okay, let's see, or similar. Okay, so it does say with 2 plus, it's saying 2 plus gigabytes of VRAM. So if you're right at 2 gigabytes, it's not going to work, apparently. My VRAM is right at 2 gigabytes. So, similar with 2 gigabytes of, it says 2 plus. Yeah. But it does recommend, notice over here, 4 plus gigabytes of VRAM. So, yeah. Anywho's, so I'm just telling you what I have. I have Intel Core i7. I don't know why CurseForge app is trying to do anything in my computer right now. Anyway, sorry about that. I have i7 or higher. I have i7 4790, which can play a lot of higher end games at lower settings without any problems. I've watched 4790, the type of games that can play side to side with other graphics. So this is where it boils down to right here, is this, because now I just got this computer which has an integrated internal graphics with only 2 gigabytes, like literally right at 2 gigabytes is what HD has, as you can see. So it's got maximum 2 gigabytes. So I think that's a little vague on saying 2 plus, like exactly how much 2 plus, because yeah, I have 16 gigabytes of RAM and 500 gigabytes storage. I have HD 4600 i7, which again can play mini games. Now, I will say there is a way you can trick if you're wanting to mess around with that. I'm not really interested in doing that, but there is a way that you can trick your computer to thinking that it has more VRAM than it does. I will put the link in the description if that's something that you want to play around with. Basically, you will have to, let me see if I can find it. Here it is. Yeah. And you will give it a new setting of 512, which I'm just not. Here's trick your PC into thinking you have more VRAM. And then this is basically what you do. You would go down here, right here, and you would type reg edit. I'm not going to do that, but I'm just telling you that's what you would do. And you would go through here and you'd click on this and you would give it a new value that you would first you type, and you would name it dedicated segment size, and then you give it a value data of 512. And sometimes these developers, they just, as he explained, have it set to where the developers don't want your computer to play the game without optimizing, because they don't want it, having crappy experience, basically. Let's see. Let me find out how to check your VRAM. You can increase your VRAM, depends on the choice of machine. If you're on a Mac, your options are limited, and for all intents and purposes, you can't do this. On Windows, it's slightly different story. Regardless, you can check how VRAM you have on either machine. Basically, just find out what graphics you have, and then go and look like I did for the graphics. I mean, that's, to me, is an easier way than doing all this. Anyways, because this may not work depending on what you have. So, but anyways, I know what VRAM that my computer has. I'm just showing. Anyways, look for your dedicated video memory to see your total VRAM. And HD 4600 has right up at 2 gigabytes. If you have a laptop with the dedicated GPU, the above method may point you to the amount of regular RAM and dedicated to iGPU. To see the VRAM available on your dedicated GPU, you're better off getting a tool. Guys, you do not have to get this tool to do this. I'm not going to download a tool. Just go and look specifically what your spec sheet is. This is my spec sheet for my computer. And then HD specifically, this is the graphics that I have. And this will tell you your specs. That way you do not have to download this. But if you want to, that's completely up to you. Anywho's, on we go. To do the same thing on a Mac, bring up Finder window by pressing F4 command plus space, type system information, press enter. You can also bring up system information window by holding option, click Apple menu, then clicking system information. Under hardware, graphics displays. Anyways, trick your PC into thinking that you have more VRAM. In some cases, a game or program will not run if your PC does not have much VRAM. The reason for this is that developers do not want their games running with terrible performance, then having to deal with complaints from gamers, so they have it set by default to know what your computer has, and if it doesn't have what they want it to have, they'll say, you can't play our game. Sorry, but that's what they do. Anywho's. However, using a little registry trick, you can fool a game into thinking you do have more VRAM than you actually do, which may help certain games run. Type reg edit in the Windows search box and press enter. Navigate to HKey local machine software Intel, right click the Intel folder on the left and click new key to create a new key called GMM. I'll put the link in the description of this video. Okay, I've already done this on my computer. So, yeah. In the side panel on the right click anywhere in an empty area and choose new DWORD 32-bit value. Name it dedicated segment size and give it a value data of 512. See, right here. Restart your computer to see whether the problem has been solved and if you can play the game or run the desired program. VRAM is central to gaming, video editing, and other graphically demanding activities. It's also physically soldered onto your GPU, so you cannot physically increase it. But you may get some benefits out of following our guide above to fake a VRAM increase. Now that you know more about VRAM, its limitations, you may be interested in buying a new graphics card if your current GPU is not up to par. If you're unsure about the difference between RAM and VRAM, we have a guide that can help. But basically, video RAM is basically a specific part of your RAM memory that's dedicated to video. And yeah, you want to check that. I really thought that 2 gigabytes would, I didn't know that it would be an issue. I'm like right at 2 gigabytes, but apparently with Tiny Glade, to me, this is vague. It says 2 plus gigabytes of RAM. That is so vague. That is so vague. But it does say over here, the recommendation is 4 plus gigabytes of VRAM. So definitely go with the recommended, because obviously the minimum that they have listed is not working. Okay, I have 2 gigabytes and it's not working. And a lot of people are complaining that it's not working. The developer's comments, it says, this is a developer, and this was September 26th. It says UHD graphics should be able to launch the game if you have an up-to-date driver, which I checked and made everything is updated, so there's no anything to update. But if you see the video memory error, you might not have enough RAM in your system. I have 16 gigabytes of RAM, so that's not the issue. It's a bit hard to tell without knowing more about your hardware. So this one says, I've got 4 gigabytes of RAM, but I think the VRAM is 1.8, which is just a little bit, and the required minimum is 2 gigabytes. The laptop is 11th gen Intel Core i3, mine is i7, mine is 3.6 gigahertz. I don't know what to do to get the game launched. There's a way to set a lower VRAM on it. I wish that they would set it a little bit lower. I think that it's that they have a specific settings in their game that if you download this game and your computer is telling the game that you have anything less than 2 gigabytes, they're not going to let it play. And I don't know. I wish that they did say, there was a comment somewhere, I think it was here. Okay, it says this is posted by this guy right here, a developer. It says, so 4 gigabytes is not a lot because in the case of integrated graphics, that memory is shared between the graphics chip and the system. I have 16 gigabytes. Okay, 16 gigabytes and 2 gigabytes of video RAM. So I think it should play, but it doesn't. So it's both end up being a bit strapped for it. That being said, I've prepared a special build for you, and maybe it will work. It's on the beta of Tiny Glade called Lower GPU Minimum Requirements. Right-click Tiny Glade in your Steam library, Properties, Betas, Beta Participation. I don't see that being offered now. I've discovered some bugs in our GPU memory allocation along the way. So if this works, we'll probably integrate into the main version of the game. I'm hoping that they will do this because honestly, I think that my computer should be able to play Tiny Glade, and I think it's their settings that is blocking it, not necessarily my computer can't. It's just how they're setting their requirements. So why recommend, if you're going to get Tiny Glade, don't buy the game until you download the demo into your computer, which is free. They have a nice little demo, and hopefully they won't do away with their demo. As far as I know, the demo is still allowed. Let me see. I do believe the demo is still allowed. I checked yesterday and it still was. In fact, I downloaded the demo. Yeah. So if you cannot play the demo, then you cannot play the game. Yeah. So this has been various people saying this. So we've seen a few instances of this error. I got the Vulkan error. but we're not quite sure yet what could be causing it. So for some reason, the Vulkan component of the driver just refuses to load. We haven't been able to reproduce this on our internal test machine so far, even with fresh Windows installation. Now this is quite a while ago. This was back in May, but I'm just seeing that various people, this one has an NVIDIA GTX 1650 Ti and it won't even open the game without crashing, saying the message about Vulkan graphics. Now I played on a computer with a hard drive. Let's see, I had a solid state disk and it only had like 200 gigabytes storage, but it had 16 gigabytes of RAM and it played just fine. Yeah, until my solid state disk crashed, because that's a Windows compatibility issue. Eats up your storage. Anyways, that's a whole nother story. But so it says my drivers are fully up to date, but I'm getting the Vulkan error. I have the Intel Iris Xe graphics, which do support Vulkan. And this one is saying, so anyways, it says, are you on Windows 10 or 11? I'm using Windows 10, which should be fine. I have Windows 10 Pro. It shouldn't be an issue because their system requirements say Windows 10 or higher. Okay, I have Intel Core i7. So I don't know, maybe it will only play on Intel Core i5. Because I have i7. My last computer, I believe, was, my last computer, the other computer that I did play on was an Intel Core i5, but I don't know, maybe, but whatever, the VRAM, you definitely want to have more than 2 gigabytes of VRAM, apparently, because the recommended is 4 gigabytes of VRAM. It says 2 plus. I guess that means 2 gigabytes or more minimum. I think they should just say minimum 2 gigabytes, but they're not saying minimum 2 gigabytes. So I think this variant right here is a little bit problematic, because specifically exactly how much do we need minimally? Say minimally 2 gigabytes, because when you're saying 2 plus, that is not telling us. If it's 2.2 or if it's right at 2, then hello. ANYWHOOS. I'm going to try to contact this developer and say, could you please make that lower minimum, the one you did in this one in beta, could you please make that available? Integrate that into the main version of the game. I mean, I don't mind to play it on a lower GPU minimum requirement. Like, honest to goodness, my computer, there should be no reason. It's ridiculous. If I can play GTA 5, you know what I'm saying, with lower settings. I don't know. Some people act like HD 4600 is like lower end, and that's not true, because I've seen many games played with HD 4600. Anyways, but I just wanted to share this about Tiny Glade because it's a fairly newer game and a lot of people are in love with this game, especially with the new update they just came out with where you can control the clutter. I absolutely love this game and I miss it. I'm so sad that I can't play this game. I'm just like bumming. I love this. But they did do a nice update where now when your clutter spawns, you can now control that clutter. And yeah, that is really cool. I love that. So if I build a little village and I take all the clutter and, just spawn a lot of clutter, and then I guess you can, I don't really know because I haven't been able to play it to see how you're able to store the clutter. But I just like that they gave you control of the clutter. I love that. Because I was on this game building furniture. I was like building tables and chairs and beds and just all kinds of stuff. But I really like the little benches that they have. I think that is cute. You can do so much different things with those benches that you can get to spawn. Now, you don't have like an option box where you can just spawn. You can control the spawning. from what I've seen in the videos, you can't control the spawning of the items. It's just whatever does spawn, you can then manipulate and control. So, yeah. But anyways, it's a cute little game if you're into building it. And it's in, you know, it's very new, and I think they're going to be adding a lot of things. I think this game is going to be progressive. The developers seem like they're going to be adding more stuff. I hope, because it's really a cute game. Anywho, there is a new game around the corner called, what was it? Oh gosh, I mentioned it in the video, Verona or something like that. And it's kind of similar to this, but it's got really cute graphics. I wouldn't say as aesthetic as this particular game. This has very unique aesthetics to it. But it does have where you can do a lot of different spawning and manipulating of things, and you can spawn items. And I think it's a competitor to this game. I think that they're like, I don't know if this has been in the works, but they see that other game is right around the corner, but you can also spawn people. I don't know, it's like people that is like a character that actually, it's just like you can spawn a person like sitting at a table or sit on a car or something like that to give it like more life. But it's for building, you know, it's not really for like playing characters, but there's just a lot of different things that you can do. And that is definitely a competitor, I would say, to this particular game. And yeah, but anywho's, I'm a little bummed about this whole graphics thing going on. Yeah, anywho's. But if you're somebody who has had this issue with trying to play Tiny Glade, again, maybe you can consider this trick your, you know, trick your VRAM. I don't know how else to say it. Trick your PC into thinking that you have more VRAM. So you could try it. And that is at full disclaimer here. That is at your risk. Okay. I'm not wanting to do that because I am going to try something else before I do that. Anywho's, I'm hoping, honestly, I'd just rather play it if they can make the other one available to where you can play it at lower GPU, whatever requirements, then I'm going to try that first. But I think having other options to know about them, I think this is, but you want to, you know, anyways, there's different things you can do, guys. So that is going to be it for this one. Tiny Glades. Oh my gosh, developers, please, please, please give us the lower VRAM ability. Okay, please. Maybe do a disclaimer if they think that if you're going to play it with lower VRAM, that is at your discretion or something like that, you know. Anyways, I understand the reason developers do what they do. I get it, but be a little bit more inclusive. Because I just think having 16 gigabytes of RAM and the graphics that I have, there's just really no, I really think it would do fine. I really do. I mean, I could be different if I only had like 4 or 8 gigabytes of RAM, but I think it would be fine. They just need to change their requirements. Anyways, that's it for this one. It's my birthday, and I got things to do, and I hope you have a blessed day. I'm going to be live streaming tonight on my birthday stream.